In this lecture, we'll talk about the Unity Event and Unity Action classes in Unity. We'll start with Unity Event, and Unity Event is a family of classes that provide events for us. Remember, events are those things that we can add listeners to, and then when the event occurs, the event calls back all those listeners by invoking the event. The Unity Event lets us have events with different numbers of parameters or arguments, different numbers of pieces of information that the event will provide. So we have a no argument Unity event that doesn't provide any information. We have a Unity event with one argument that provides one piece of information to each of those listeners when it calls them back, and two arguments and so on. Finally, Unity events are generics. So if we have a Unity event that has one argument, we get to decide what type that argument is, whether it's an int or a float or a string or pretty much any data type that we want that event to use. Let's go take a look at the documentation for the Unity event classes to explore this a little further. Here's the documentation for the Unity event family of classes in Unity. And as you can see, we have a number of variants or forms of that class. So this first one that I have highlighted is a no argument version of the event. And as you can see, the description says this is a zero argument persistent callback, which really just means this is an event as we described. It can call back all the listeners that have indicated that they were interested in this particular event. I'll select the one argument form. And as you can see, you have to override the class type. So what we will do in the next lecture is we will provide a type for the single argument we're going to have. It could be an int, it could be a float, we'll see next lecture, but it could be any type you want it to be. And that's why this Unity event family of classes is so flexible, because we can have, again over here on the left, we can have a form with one argument or two arguments or three arguments or four arguments. And if you need more than four arguments, you can actually use that Unity event base class to build your own that has more than four arguments. But I have, in my own personal experience, found that up to four is all I've ever needed. So that's a look at the Unity event family of classes. Now that we've looked at the Unity event family of classes, what is Unity Action? Well, Unity Action is also a family of classes, but these classes are delegates. They're the method signatures for the event handlers that we will use to listen for particular Unity events. That means that we have a number of forms of Unity Action, like a no argument one, and a one argument one, and a two argument one, and so on. And Unity Actions are generics, so that we can match up a Unity Action, let's say, a one argument Unity Action that has an int for its parameter, and we could add that as a listener for a Unity event that has one int as its argument or parameter. So we can match Unity actions to the Unity events that we want those actions to listen for to handle the events as they occur. If we search on Unity Action in the Unity scripting reference, you can see we get 5 matches, including 0 argument, 4 argument, 3 argument, 2 argument, and 1 argument delegates used by Unity events. Let's take a look at the 1 argument delegate. And this looks similar to the Unity event with 1 argument because it's a generic, and we will provide a type when we need to use a Unity action as a delegate to listen for a particular event. So if we were listening for an event that had a single float argument, then we would want to use Unity action with 1 float as the delegate to listen for that event. And we will see that in action in the next lecture as well. To recap, we have Unity events and a variety of different forms for Unity events that gives us events in Unity games. And we have a family of classes of delegates called Unity Action that let us build event handlers for those Unity events.